What's up, brother?
Well, not much. How about you?
Not much, man. Another day. Nice bookshelf.
Thank you.
Yeah. Here, hold on. There's one. There's two. And there's a third one way down there.
Yeah, you got me beat.
Who's the picture of?
Harry Houdini.
Okay, hell yeah. Yeah, I saw somewhere on your page, looks like you maybe do some magic.
Yeah, that's my main shtick as a magician, but also do the podcast just to talk to people for fun.
Hell yeah. There was a buddy's birthday that I was at a couple days ago. And he had this gal come up who was like friend of someone at the party, and she starts doing magic, and there was this one trick that she did, that she like shows us it, and then after I was like, look, I know you can't tell me, but like I have tried to mentally figure this out, blah blah blah, like it's clear that you really did do this thing, and the only way to undo this is to break this thing. That's crazy. And she's like, yeah, this trick is so good that God, who's the guy in Vegas? Mind Freak.
Chris
What's his
Angel.
fuck? Yeah, she's like, this trick is so good that I sold it to Chris Angel, and I was like,
Nice.
no fucking way. So yeah, it was really weird to see it like in person, because I got to hold the tool that she used and
Yeah.
look at it, and I was like, you're a witch. That's like the only explanation here, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely a different experience in person than over like a video or something.
Hmm. Anyway, yeah, man, I'm good to go whenever.
Sounds good. All
Also,
right.
officially, hello, I'm Andrew.
Hello. All right. So typically what I do is kind of have a bunch of questions and we'll kind of go through them.
Cool, man. Sounds good. Yeah, I'm usually on the other side of these engagements because of my fitness podcast. So it's
Fair.
always a little funny being on this side of it.
Understandable.
Yeah.
So you've been in the fitness industry for over 10 years. Have you always been fitness minded or did that come later in life?
Way, way later. Yeah, man, I'm 6'3". I graduated high school at 140 pounds. So like you gotta keep in mind that I was 140 pounds after um I think 2 semesters of weights class in high school, and I was still that skinny, that underweight. So I just my family is naturally really, really skinny. I mean, I've got an uncle that's like 6'5", and he's maybe 160 pounds. Like
Okay.
we're just really, really skinny people. And it's kind of funny, but like I have this distinct memory that I've probably told a couple times at this point, but like the gal that I was dating while we were in high school. Um, I just remember her one time after I had been in weights class for like a couple months, and she says something where she's like, "Oh my God, your arms," and it was just like bam, like I was sold. Like the girl that I was into made a comment about my physique after I had built a little bit of muscle. I was like, "This is the greatest thing ever. I never want to stop doing this." Yeah.
Nice, nice. What's an exercise in your routine that's a non-negotiable for you?
Um, I'm definitely a big um squat bench dead person.
Okay.
I don't do a ton of conventional or sumo deadlifts anymore. It seems like everybody eventually kind of weeds those things out of their program, and it's not because there's something inherently wrong with it. It's just that there are certain lifts that you realize are necessary from a competition standpoint. So if you're going to get into powerlifting or strongman, you need to be able to squat, bench, and deadlift. If you just want to like live your life and be strong and build muscle, you don't necessarily need to do those.
Hmm.
So I still like deadlift variations. I still do Romanian deadlifts and everything like that. Um, I'll cycle deadlifts back into the program every once in a while, but I would say basically just some kind of heavy compound movement, for every muscle group is the non-negotiable. It just kind of depends what the mood is at that point. But something I've been really into for, God, if I'm being honest, like the last 2 years is probably a chest supported row, or what some people would call a seal row. Yeah, that's favorite
Okay.
back exercise by a mile.
Nice. What inspired you to transition into coaching?
Specifically coaching fitness.
Yes.
Got a job at a oh this is back when I was playing music, and my band was like we were doing okay. We were starting to like, play some shows outside of our hometown. We were starting to record like bigger albums and whatnot. And it was really, really exciting. And I remember we're at band practice one day and I go, hey, we all need to get jobs that we don't care about. So, if we get a tour booked and we need to like leave last minute, we can just get gone. So I go to this gym that I had like started working out at, and I've always been really good at sales. I've always been really good at interviewing.
Hmm.
Um, I'm charismatic in these ways for whatever reason, and I basically got the guy to like give me a job on the spot. Um, Specifically because it was a job I quote wouldn't care about.
Okay.
So I was like working front desk there. I ended up meeting one of the trainers who was kind of coming and going all the time. And I asked him what his schedule was, and he said, verbatim, whatever I want, baby. And I was like, fuck, I want that job. So got into training. Band broke up. So it's very ironic. I get the job that has a really flexible schedule so that I can do the thing I'm passionate about, which is music. The band breaks up and then I'm left with the job that has the really flexible schedule, and I go, shit, I never want to have a regular schedule ever
Yeah.
again. And I basically haven't since then, which I'm very grateful for because I don't. It's not that I don't do well in a 9 to 5. It's just that if I have a 9 to 5, I need to be really really passionate about what it is.
Hmm.
And I like my boss right now because I'm him. So
Nice. Definitely a
yeah.
plus.
Mhm.
Have you always been philosophically minded, or did that come later in life as well?
Would you say I'm philosophically minded? I suppose that's a
Based on
uh,
the content of yours I've consumed, I would say so, at least to a degree.
okay. Yeah, I read a moderate bit of philosophy. I'm trying to think where that really came from. I think a lot of it was that I was trying to understand myself.
Okay.
Which I think everybody needs to do to a degree, but it was like it's a good question. I think the first time that I ever probably not the first time that this ever happened so much as the earliest time that it like really registered in my brain was I was at that gym job, um, and my boss, Brandon Straker at the Bod of Thunder, who's a comedian now,
Okay.
uh, he he at some point is like, I could probably remember the exact book if I like really picked through my brain, but I remember he's like reading this book and he's like telling me some like philosophical concepts out of it, and I was like, wow, that was really interesting. Like I don't know, it was just something about it was very counter to what like the average person was thinking, but I liked it. I liked something about that. And then that night I went home and bought because at this point I was kind of having some I was hitting a wall where I was trying to decide if I was going to go back to school or not. Um, and go get like the big boy degree or if I was just gonna like press the pedal down and try to make entrepreneurship work.
Hmm.
And I ended up going home and buying two books that it's really funny because I can't remember a single thing about them, but it was Antichrist by Friedrich Nietzsche and Anti-Education. So those are like the two
Okay.
things that I was really struggling with at that time were um, belief in a God, and I can't remember if that book even talked about it, and Anti-Education, and I can't even remember if it talked about education or not. So it's
Fair.
really funny. Like I literally judge the books by its cover, by their covers, and ended up reading both of them. And I remember they're really really small books. I mean, I think they're probably 70 pages, 100 at most.
Okay, not bad.
Yeah, and I was so ill equipped to really understand what it was that I was reading. That there were times where I was rereading pages like two or three times just to attempt to make sense of it. And I mean, I've still, let's see, and it's a alphabetical order, so they're somewhere on that side. But yeah, like I probably ought to reread them at one point. They're short books. Like I should go through it and be like, why did I keep these? Because I liked them enough to keep them, but I can't remember a thing about them.
Fair,
And
fair.
yeah, that was let's see, what year is it? That was probably 12, 13 years ago.
Okay. Do you think philosophy and learning is more about asking better questions or finding better answers?
Finding better questions or finding better answers. Hmm. Meaning like philosoph excuse me, philosophy as a concept or as like a tool in your everyday life.
As a tool in your
Like
everyday life?
I think it's probably about asking better questions. I mean, you're not if assuming that the answer that you get is correct, it's not necessarily always going to be the one that you want. There are times when you come to unfortunate truths, um, and things kind of there are these really intense paradigm shifting moments. The more questions that you ask, um, but I think it's probably about asking better questions. The quality of a question is going to dictate a lot in your life. Um, Even like simple conversations like I have with my mom, when her and I are talking about things, um, I would say that it's not necessarily like we are talking to talk. There's information desired there. It's very rarely surface level. Yeah, hey, how are you? Sure, we'll pick
Yeah.
up the phone and like that's how the call starts. Like, hey, how are you? What's going on? Blah blah blah. And then after that, it's very quickly. I mean, like we're talking about religion and the funniest thing about it is my mom is this like very cliche, non-traditionally educated Southern woman who was raised in California.
Okay.
So she's got this very unassuming um, unassuming thing about her where you wouldn't expect her to be like a very insightful, thoughtful. Um, I guess just you can tell that she really puts a lot of consideration into different things, even if she doesn't necessarily um, have the means through traditional education um, to achieve certain ends through question, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like there is a limitation on how much we can understand based on prior education, but there's still something about the conversations with her that has been so unique and rewarding because there is this very unique example, or excuse me, this very unique experience that she's coming from. I mean, she is one of my favorite people to talk to because she has lived a life so unlike mine,
Hmm.
and she is so close to me. So you've got this very confusing thing of like one of the closest people physically to me, and in terms of upbringing, one of the farthest you physically can be. Like everything that I do in my life does not make sense to my mom, but she is so interested in understanding it, and even the areas that we disagree. When we talk about God, um, there's clearly a sadness in there about me being agnostic because she has these beliefs in God, and heaven and the afterlife, and she wants to see me there.
Hmm.
Um, but even in those questions, beneath that sadness is like genuine curiosity, almost to the point of confusion as to why I don't believe those things anymore. So it's like I
Okay.
mean, yeah, just yeah, now I'm just like going on, excuse me, going on a rant about
You're good. You're
freaking mom.
good.
But yeah, like it's just she asks such good questions. And it's so funny because it's just such a natural thing for her. Like I seriously I don't think my mom realizes how deep some of the shit that she asks is because it is just her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Understandable. In your thought process, do you lead more towards rationalism or empiricism?
Man. Dude, I don't think I can answer that one. That's really tough. I probably that is really tough. Yeah, because I mean, if it's literally just what do you lean more toward, it should just be one or the other because if there's like even a 1% lean,
Hmm.
man, I gotta be honest, I think it heavily depends on it heavily depends on the situation.
Okay.
When it comes to like when it comes to I would say it's mostly just about what is most evident is probably going to be the thing that I'm like most willing to accept,
Okay.
which is kind of a non-answer, but yeah, it's um however I get there, it doesn't necessarily matter to me how I get there so much as what feels the most correct is probably going to be the right go.
Makes
Yeah.
sense. Makes
What
sense.
about you? That's a really good question. What about you?
I'd say it depends. So I think in again the more practical, common real world examples, I'd lean more towards like the empiricism, just based off of experience and data, but more of like the things that people ask like, oh, it's not something you've necessarily gone through or would go through, then more towards the rationalism and being able to deduce things that way.
Yeah. Okay. So that's pretty much where I'm at with it too, is that it's like being able to literally pull up like
Yeah.
here is empirical evidence. It's
Yeah.
like that is where I'm going. I'm not gonna like try to intuit something about this. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes you can get a little bit like beyond that
Mhm.
just by looking at the methods used and who has done it and why they've done it. But I mean, even that's kind of empiricism in its own way as well. But yeah, I think the way you put it actually a really really good way to put it, where there are real life things that you kind of just
Yeah.
yeah
Kind of a situational thing.
yeah.
So I very much enjoyed your content style and the way you make things. Who are some inspirations for you in the way you film and edit your videos?
If we're talking my fitness stuff or my YouTube stuff, or excuse me, my fitness stuff or my like short TikTok stuff.
Your shorts.
My shorts, uh, man, I also my dog is uh eating breakfast right now, so you
No
might hear
worries.
that crunching in the background. So I actually had this realization a couple days ago because one of the things that makes me really laugh is parody of creators.
Okay.
Seeing when somebody because it's really parody is an appreciation of their work. To
Yeah.
appropriately parody somebody, you have to understand that creator in a way that is very deep. So I remember the first time I ever saw someone do like a Jordan Peterson parody, they're impersonating him and just doing like the movie, it's symbolic for blah blah blah, like just goes through this thing. I remember watching that and thinking, this is really good. This is
Yeah.
too good to have not been somebody who actually appreciates the content that he's putting out. And last night, I was thinking about what are the things that I do, what are the mannerisms that I do that somebody could parody, and what would a recreation of that look like? And then I'm thinking through that and I'm going, well, here are the things that I notice about my creation and my editing and the way that I speak, and where did I get those from? And I thought about a comedian that I have not thought about since probably middle school, and that is Lewis Black.
Okay.
Specifically, the way that he delivers punchlines that he's angry about, where he will talk about this and he will talk about this and then he'll be yelling about this. And I'm like, holy shit, that's probably not for sure, but probably where I got that from, that delivery style. Because there are times where I'm talking about this and
Mhm.
I'm talking about this, and then I'm fucking mad. And so it's yeah, that hit me yesterday. Um, and then the other thing that I was talking about, again, this is my mom asking good questions. Her and I recorded a podcast a couple days ago, which I still need to edit. I haven't even touched it. Um, and I was talking about how a lot of my scripting comes from when I used to perform slam poetry. So I haven't talked
Okay.
about that a ton, but I mean, years, dude. Like
Hmm.
I was writing several poems and then performing them a couple days later and just editing and iterating and trying to understand what improves the delivery of it. That's something that I really enjoy about poetry. Uh, is that you can writing it specifically is that you can change the enunciation on one word, you can change the order of two sentences and completely change the experience of a poem.
Definitely.
And I remember going through poems, performing it, and every single time that I write a script for these shorts, I'm reading it out before I actually perform it. I'm reading it out in the way that I would actually perform it, so to speak. And it really just feels like performing poetry in a very strange
Okay.
way. And I've got a script in there that I'm not kidding. I finished writing it. I called my friend who presently is a performing poet. And she actually brought me out of retirement earlier this year for the first time in like 6 years. But I called her and I said, I accidentally wrote a slam poetry, and I'm never going to perform it like that. So I'm going to perform it for you. And she was like, okay, do it. So it was like, yeah, it's
Nice.
weird because there were these like influences that are, um, in most cases, uh, concepts.
Mhm.
It was the physical immediate feedback of performing slam poetry and feeling how people responded when you talk like this, and then it's this. Like
Yeah.
you get that immediate feedback of seeing how the audience is going to respond. And I think just from doing that for so long, so consistently with so many different poems, that I can just feel that now when I'm writing, where I'm like, this is the line that's going to bang.
Mhm.
This is the one that people are going to reference in the comments. Like I had some video that I made yesterday about this whole like Tylenol autism thing, where I was just like, all these people taking a performative dose, and I wrote that and I was like, that's a really fucking good line. And then
Definitely.
all the comments are like, performative dose, holy shit, like that's incredible. So yeah, it's weird, man. Like I usually know when a video is going to do well, so it's probably somewhere between like Lewis Black, comedy, performing spoken word poetry or slam poetry, whatever you want to call it. And then there was something about playing music too, of just like embodying some like presence
Mhm.
of, uh, you're not just there to like deliver something. You also have to make it engaging and entertaining in some way. And then, the little boring shit behind the scenes. Every time literally cutting off zero point 0.2 seconds. Oh, am I disconnecting or am I still good?
You're good. You're good.
Okay. I will cut off zero point 0.2 seconds at the beginning of every single clip because that's when I press pause,
Yeah.
or excuse me, press record. There's a 2 second, 0.2 second delay. And then I will always add captions, usually above my head, because people are more inclined to look at your eyes and
Mhm.
above than they are at your chin and below.
Definitely.
So, and then the first segment of, man, I'm really giving you a peek behind the kimono.
Oh, you're good. You're
Um,
good.
the first text wall is meant to be the thumbnail, so to speak. That's the thing people are going to see right out of the gate. It has to be interesting enough that it gets their attention, usually within 3 seconds or less. And it needs to end where there is a question or desire for more information. And I learned that from Daryl Eves, who actually coached Mr. Beast too. But yeah, I learned that from Daryl Eves and from, oh God, I can't remember Tanner's last name, but this guy named Tanner. And then after that first big wall of text, then it's 2 to 3 words, 2 to 3 words,
Yeah.
2 to 3 words. Because the way that advertising and marketing and TV works is we're constantly getting new information from it. So there has to be something new on screen every
Yeah,
couple
definitely.
seconds. And
Yeah,
unless
I
they
think that's
keep
why I
making
think it has to be like
clickbaits.
12 characters or something. And if it's any longer
Yep.
than that, then it doesn't do as well.
Yeah, it's if that's the exact number, yeah, that makes sense to me, right about there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So dude, it's just like weird little things. And um that specifically, the constant resetting of text, I learned that from some random TikTok video where a guy was like, "Hey, here's something that I did." And I'm like, "Fuck, that's really smart."
Yeah.
And then I did it and it worked.
Nice, nice. So in
One last
your,
thing on that actually
oh,
is
go
that the
ahead.
amount of people I've had message me who say, "Thank you so much for using captions." I never use my audio. So it's like people are like, "Oh, I don't want to add captions." Hey, if like 10 people read the captions because they
Mhm.
don't use audio, you have improved your stance as a content creator. I had someone message me
Definitely.
who said, "I thought you were British. I've never heard your voice before today." Yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy.
I think that's what I think too. I think it's more of a thing specifically on Instagram that it's like 25 to 30% of people don't use audio when scrolling through Instagram,
Yeah.
that they'll use
Yep.
captions more.
Hmm.
So for your content there in your scripting, do you do like a word for word script or is it more of bullet points with you kind of riffing in between?
Probably 95% scripting. It's
Okay.
like I even script my uhs and ums and pauses in there. Like it's all very intentional, and it didn't
Yeah.
used to be. My fitness podcast, Holistic Motion, um, that company's went through a couple rebrands. In my very early stages of that podcast, it was Pride Movement Fitness and Pride Fitness and Movement because there was a different demographic that I was trying to target through that. There was a different goal that I kind of had in that. But I remember in the early days of that podcast, whenever I would do like solo episode deep dives, I never scripted anything because I was like, oh, I wanted to be natural. I wanted to be this. I wanted to be that. And then like I kept releasing these episodes and they're fucking terrible.
Yeah.
And yeah, just I don't know. It's like I could make it gravy. Sorry,
You're
just
good.
getting
You're
it and shit.
good.
Um, but yeah, I would. It just it. I had convinced myself that off the cuff was better, and it just is not.
Yeah.
I can speak publicly very effectively. I can do all those things, but if you're going to push something out to the public and make it as high quality as possible, at bare minimum, I think you need to write it out to really collect your ideas. One of the things that I have decided that I'm going to do with these long form videos that I'm doing on YouTube is I'm going to give my followers a chance to DM me a voice memo under 60 seconds
Hmm.
uh, to add to the conversation. And there were a lot of people who started doing that. And they're sending me like 15-minute voice memos, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. And I'm like, hey, compile the most important part, write it down either in your notes or on paper. Um, that way you can script it out, fully have those thoughts collected, record that, send that to me. And then people
Nice.
started doing that. So it's kind of funny. Like it's this weird little way of like improving your speech and clarifying your thoughts. And then, yeah,
Definitely.
so yeah,
All right.
you
What
got
did
you got me super long-winded, man. You're
No
doing a good
worries.
job.
Thank you. What's your decision process for videos you'll make or topics you'll discuss?
um, if I want to talk about it, I'll talk about it. There are times where I definitely get scared
Hmm.
to post things. I actually, this is really speaking of writing and thinking things out. Uh, I literally wrote this last night. This was the very last thing that I wrote before I went to bed. You're asking such fucking good questions. Um, being meek and mild mannered doesn't help anybody but those who hate you. The partially expressed version of yourself. Every video that I was ever truly scared to post either exploded and made me realize that I wasn't alone, that other people felt it, or flopped and it wasn't a big deal. Like I literally wrote that last night.
Nice.
Um, and there is a video, my first long form video, um, that I am scared to release. And
Okay.
it's probably going up in it'll be up within the next week. And it's about Charlie Kirk. And the reason that I'm nervous about it is because I think it's really easy to misconstrue. Um, it's really easy to misconstrue things into ist or phobe or
Yeah.
whatever it may be territory. And I am kind of the target demographic to throw those things out. Like I'm a straight white male. I
Hmm.
somebody told me that they've never seen somebody who looks as American as I do, and I thought that was really funny. But it's like I'm basically the target demo that over the last 10 years or so that people were like, hey, you don't get to have an opinion on these things. And I'm like, fuck, man, I do, for better or worse. I got a lot of
Yeah.
opinions on shit. Um, and yeah, so I'm like a little nervous isn't the right word because I'm going to be fine regardless of
Yeah.
what the outcome of it is. I know who I am and I know what my intentions are behind the things that I make. But yeah, that's kind of usually the thing is that whenever something really scares me to post, um, it usually ends up being good. Like I posted an episode about trans athletes, and this was probably 2022 before like probably when it was on the way of people kind of being like, like maybe this isn't okay.
Hmm.
I posted that on my fitness channel and I was really scared.
Hmm.
Um, I had a terrible mic at that point, but the video itself is great.
Yeah.
I posted a video on that same channel, which I might actually repurpose to post on my current one, which was a men's mental health document. It's 3.5 hours long. It took
I
like a
yeah, I watched
year's
all of
worth.
that one. It was very enjoyable.
Oh, dude, I really appreciate that, man. Thank you. That was yeah, I was really um put a lot of effort into that. But
Understandable.
that I was really scared to post that because I was like, fuck, like, is this gonna come across as like, oh, well, you don't care about women's issues, and then then I'm like putting this one caveat at the beginning that was like, just because I'm talking about a man's problem or men's issues doesn't mean that I don't care about women's issues. But right now, I'm talking about this,
Yeah.
and yeah. So usually it's if it scares me, I'll make it. I usually know if it's going to be good. I'm not kidding, dude, hundreds of scripts written in my notes section. And there's so many of them. I don't listen to rap, but Eminem is somebody who's got a kind of interesting writing process that I heard about one time where he said, sometimes I don't even know what it's going to be, but I'll write it down just in case.
Yeah.
I have had a line written for probably a year and a half that says Kleenex feels too good. And I don't know what that video is going to be, but there is something about Kleenex
Yeah.
that is unnaturally nice to use when you're blowing your nose. And I'm like, there's got to be something wrong with it. I haven't figured it out, but I know that that video is going to be funny. And Eminem has talked about that where he'll have a line in a notebook that he wrote from years ago. I remember seeing a video where he's explaining this. He flips through a thing and then he goes, that right there, that's going to be a song. That might
Mhm.
even be my next song. And yeah, I thought I that it's you got to write everything down because you never know when
Definitely.
the here, hold on. Let me actually scroll through one. I'm gonna get one dumb liner, dumb one liner and see. Um, oh, dude, this one actually is really funny. Talking about somebody's toddler growing up is so funny because there's almost no way to talk about it that doesn't sound a little bit weird. And
True.
I'm not going to tease the rest of it, but it's like,
Fair.
like looking at somebody's toddler and be like, wow, you sure have gotten big. It's like, no, they're still a child. Like, it's
Yeah.
just, there's weird things that it's like you say it. And like, if you're not around like normal people, it just sounds bad because people are fucking insane. Yeah.
True. True.
Yeah.
So I've enjoyed hearing your thoughts on various topics, and in the videos I've seen, you have a very good analysis on most things in society and analysis of people in specific sets of belief, such as your book talk series or your religious series. In specifically your men stuff series, you mentioned the way that you know if someone's a real friend is by asking yourself if you'd fight a dragon with them or if they support you if you were exiled for a kingdom. Are there any other questions you'd ask yourself that help encompass someone else's morals when deciding if they are a true friend or not?
I'm actually working on extending that series. I was
Oh,
thinking about it. You're
nice.
doing a really good job. This is freaky, dude. You're like in my phone. Yeah, I was thinking about that this morning on my walk. Um, man, it's there's like a handful of different things I think that you can infer a decent bit of things about people. Um, like I'm not interested in a friend who can't hold down a job, not because I care about his job or his employer, but because that tells me something about like his level of follow through. I'm not really interested in a friend who I wouldn't come to them for their advice.
Mhm.
Um, I'm not interested in a friend who's not willing to ask other people for advice or ask other people for a favor. One of my best friends, he's a relatively proud person. But there have been multiple times in our friendship where he's called me and said, "Hey, man, can I borrow a couple $100 for the next week?" And I'm like, "Of course."
Yeah.
It means nothing to me, and he is my best friend in the world, and I don't think less of him. I think, damn, I'm really glad that that he asked me for this instead of like struggling through for whatever period of time. Um, I've got a buddy that is he's very complimentary of people, and it's not fake. It's so genuine and it's so um odd to be on the other side of it because it is so genuine that he is one of those people who's able to like pick out the things that you're secretly working on and trying to fix, and he'll be the first person who notices it. So it's like there's a certain level of like perception in your friends that is appreciated. You know, they're able to notice your strengths and flaws before you even realize it. I mean, God, dude, I could talk about it forever because it's like all of my friends personify these things in a very strange way. Um, I've got I had a really good buddy of mine who he was going to tell me something, and you know he's talking about his wife, and he said, I'm just going to give you some fake names, but he's like, hey, don't tell Lacey this, but, and I said, whoa, 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 Lacey is one of my best friends.
Hmm.
Do not tell me something that's going to make me have to lie to her. And I remember feeling a little odd about that friendship after, um, because it made me go, has he shared things that I've asked him not to share?
Hmm.
You know, hey, don't tell them this, but like that, it's weird, you know, you can learn a lot about people from the things that they do and don't do when there's no perceived consequence.
Definitely.
And yeah, again, I could probably talk about that forever, dude. That's a really good question. Excuse me.
In one of your religious videos, you mentioned that you have questions that can't be answered. What is one of those questions that you wrestle with?
It's one whole big question,
Okay.
which I won't read on the podcast because it will turn people away from God. And I don't want to do that because I think, despite my issues with Christianity and religion, um, I still don't want people to turn away from it. I think Christianity, at least, I think it's a net positive on society. I feel that pretty confidently or pretty strongly. But I will say that a large portion of this question is the problem of evil.
Okay.
So it's, you know, if God is good, then why is there suffering?
Hmm.
Um, and people have answered it in, this is so funny, man. I just had this conversation with my mom. Uh, I have a question, so the answer needs to be good enough for me.
Okay.
And there are certainly answers to the problem of evil, but I have not found any of them to be sufficient. You know, I've had people go back and forth with me for, I mean, dude, days. Like
Yeah.
I'm not kidding, dude. Like text threads that are like over the course of like a week and a half, where it's like 3 minute voice memo, 30-second voice memo, text paragraph, and I just keep being like, look, man, it's not sufficient for me. It's not
Hmm.
sufficient for me. It's not sufficient for me. And it's not because I'm this brilliant philosophical powerhouse who has a question that nobody has ever conceived of. It's because I just don't think the answer is good enough. And I wish I did, because it would be a lot easier to just go, that works for me, you
Hmm.
know, but they haven't. Um, I I've gotten so many DMs about that I've actually instituted a rule now that if somebody wants to debate it for me or debate it with me, um, I have, and people hear this and they go, "That's insane." I might make a video about this, but I basically tell people, "How confident are you that you can answer this question?" They say, "Well, I'm pretty confident." I say, "Okay, are you $1,000 confident?" What do you mean? Like, well, I want you to Venmo me $1,000.
Hmm.
Um, you're Christian, yes? Yeah, yeah, I'm Christian. Okay. You're gonna have a chance to offer or to answer this, but if I don't deem it to be a sufficient answer, I'm gonna donate this.
I think your audio cut out there.
Mic check.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, I say, you know, you can take a chance and answer this question, but if I don't deem it sufficient, I'm gonna donate $1,000 that they just gave me in your name to the Church of Satan. You have to
Okay.
be very, very confident in this question. And people are like, that's fucking insane. I'm like, well, yeah, but so is sitting down all day answering questions that I've already gone back and forth about
Hmm.
12 years ago. You know, like
Yeah.
I already had that answer when I was in my 20s.
Hmm.
And so it's like I haven't had anybody bring a new answer to me. So I'm like, okay, look, either you need to be so confident that you're willing to risk money and your name being thrown on something you hate, or you need to go, I'm not that confident.
Yeah.
And I would vastly prefer that they say, I'm not that confident. I don't want to debate you about this because I don't want to debate you about it. I don't want to make you fucking question this shit. I don't want to donate money to the Church of Satan in your name. I
Yeah.
also don't want to go back and forth with you for 12 hours where you give me the same answers that I figured out like 10 years ago. So it's
Mhm.
like it's literally just me being like, please don't take this.
Yeah.
Please don't take this debate. I don't want to do this. So that has done a lot to dissuade people from trying to answer that question.
Okay.
That's actually a sort of a self-blackmail tool that I'll use for a lot of things too, which is kind of funny. But yeah.
Understandable. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting paradigm shift there.
Oh yeah.
Another aspect of your religious videos were the description and mindsets of people on the atheistic and the Christian side that aren't often discussed, but I think you described them very well. And in that, you described the care and love that your mom has for you and your sister. In your experience, do you find people on either side hold to and practice their beliefs as well as your mother does, or do you find that they use it as a way to put people down either from an intellectual or moral standpoint?
The complicated thing with this is, if somebody is good at their religion, uh, uh, that's kind of up to the person looking onward to determine. So my mom would say she's a good Christian. Someone who's like Eastern Orthodox would probably be like, oh, she's a terrible Christian.
Yeah.
So it really depends who's looking at that experience and making that decision, or looking at their expression of that rather. I would say, biblically speaking, my mom is probably not a good Christian. There's a ton of stuff that my mom doesn't follow. There's a ton of stuff that my mom does follow. And then there's that God, how many different verses in the Bible, excuse me, about being, oh, like you can't judge other people based on their sin. Um, you, it's like I don't know. There's just so much stuff about um being an imperfect practitioner and just trying to be better and blah 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 blah. And I'm like really really um not brushed up on my scripture right now, but I I think it's mostly, again, a lot of the things that I look at are kind of just a matter of being like a net positive. And is my mom, or is the world better for my mom having existed? Yes. Is the world better for God, let me think of a famous atheist. Like, is the world better for Sam Harris existing? Yeah, probably. Is the world better for God? Who are the four? What was that book called? The Four Horsemen of
Of new
yeah,
atheism,
yeah.
there
What was
was
that?
Daniel Dennett,
Dawkins, Dennett,
Dawkins, Christopher
Harris,
Hitchens.
Hitchens. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. So it's like, is the world better for those people? Yes. Those are all atheist agnostics. I think the world is better for them having been a part of it. Um, and I mean, there are like so many Christians that I think the world is better for, where I think if you follow every religion to the letter of the law, so to speak, that it's probably incompatible with modernity. There are ways that people will kind of reinterpret things to um, fit their own world belief, um, that just that make it a little bit more palatable in modernity. But there
Mhm.
there are aspects of it that you can't do in present day, and that's not. I wouldn't say that that's necessarily an issue of the book or the religion itself so much as it's just, in the case of pretty much every religion, it's been thousands of years. Of course, there are things that are going to be, um, that it's going to be incompatible with. Like there is no religion that has ever conceived of this.
Yeah.
This never has it been mentioned in any book ever. And yeah, so it's like I think that Christianity is a pretty good North Star. Like I'll kind of take things to an extreme, um, where if I had to live under the extreme of any religion, I would probably prefer Christian nationalism over any other kind of religious nationalism. But that's for a few different reasons. One, I was raised Christian. Like this is
Mhm.
stuff that I already understand. I don't have questions when somebody does good or bad things under the umbrella of Christianity. I like that's what I said about everything with Charlie Kirk was I was like, well, yeah, I've never. not understood why Charlie believed something. He's a Christian. Of course he thinks these things, you
Yeah.
know? I cannot say the same about Judaism or Islam or you know Sikhism or anything like that. I don't know what the extreme versions of those look like. So I mean, like I've actually got a copy of. I can probably point to the exact one. Bam, that's a copy of the Quran.
Okay.
Um, I I've read a handful of these books, and you know, going through the Quran, I was like, if it's not for me, but I tried to give it a shot. A lot of people try to convert me to Islam in my DMs, so it's like there. I try to think of things through their extremes, and yeah, I don't even know if that answered the question or
That
not, but
that
it's
did
like
that did.
at their extremes, you know, it's just kind of like where does this really lead to? There are a lot of people that use religion to put people down or to, you know, kind of um, just boost themselves up so that they are, you know, some arbiter of morals and values, and it's like a lot of you guys really fucking suck. Like, I think if everybody was more like my mom, that people would probably be a lot more receptive toward Christianity. But I also think that there's a reason that my mom is not a religious figure, and that's because, you know, uh, she's got her own problems too. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Understandable. Did you think that your People in Open Relationship series would garner as many views as it has?
No, fuck no. Holy shit, dude. That was unreal. That was that was one of the weirdest experiences of my entire life. And as some people have said, I've lived a lot of lives, okay? I of all the things that I have made a video on and went, this is going to do well. I knew that was going to do well. I did not understand how well it was going to do. Holy shit. And the thing is, it had nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
It had everything to do with Nat, the non-binary. I think she's non-binary. I think they're non-binary. Uh, the Bobby Hill, as some people were referencing. You know, I think she had also fucking word police. I'm gonna fuck all this up, so it is what it is. I think she had shaved red hair buzz cut or something like that.
Okay.
I really want to get her um on the long form video that I'm doing for open relationships
Mhm.
because I don't have anything against her at all. I don't even have anything against open relationships. It's just that there is a funny certain look. It's the same way there's a funny look to
Yeah.
Mormons. You know, not even a funny look. There's a consistent look between Mormons. There's a consistent look between, you know, different kinds of people. And I kind of want to do a video with her, uh, and just have her on for like 5 minutes or something, and just like talk to her because it had um, I would say a relatively positive effect on my life.
Mhm.
Um, and I think she kind of became the target for a lot of I think she kind of became the target for a lot of insults and poking fun at um and you know that's one of the risks of making content on social media. But the
Yeah.
thing that she said, you know, the no, because what do you mean by that? And then it's this very long video basically pushing back and you know saying that the things that I said were homophobic and mean and this and that. That would have gotten me so fucking canceled 10 years ago. I would have been fucked. There
Mhm.
would have been calls to, well, I work for myself, so you can't call my job, but I would have been so canceled. It's unreal. She missed the boat by a couple of years. She would have crushed me.
Yeah.
And like, so it's really funny because like at any other time, I could not have posted that video. Uh, so I just, if it weren't for the people wanting so badly to react and say, no, they don't all look like that. Well, they all looked like
Yeah.
that. That video would have probably hit 1 million views and been done. Uh, I think cross-platform just on my postings of that, I want to say that like it's a 3 or 4 part series. I want to say that full run got to God, 10, 20 million views between like Facebook and or excuse me, TikTok and Instagram.
Mhm.
And that's not even counting all the people who stitched it. I mean, my buddy Andreas Belton, Belton, excuse me. He posted a couple reacts to it before he and I even became friends.
Yeah.
There's this other guy. It's like I don't even want to say his name, but like this guy fucking still posts those stitches, uh, and never tags me in it. I'm like, fuck you, dude. Like, who cares? It's just content. But yeah, dude, I just specifically one of the comments that I remember that I was like, that is one of the funniest things I've ever heard, because this is when TikTok was shutting down. That was the last major trend on TikTok before the shutdown. So people were
Okay.
calling that the TikTok series finale. And it was such an exciting thing to be a part of, like the last moment of such like a culturally significant thing. And then what, 2 or 3 days went by and then fucking TikTok
Yeah,
was
it came
back. And I
back.
was like, ah, fuck, whatever. But yeah, dude, like it was such a fun thing. There were even 2 weeks ago, I was at the I was at God, is that DU or CU in Fort Collins? I can't remember. The college up in Fort Collins. And two people came up to me and literally just go, and I was like, yeah. And they were like, no fucking way. Like, wanted to take a picture with me. And I was like, that's so funny. Like, I don't want to be that guy forever. I don't want to be why do they always look like that guy?
Mhm.
And I think I've escaped that a little bit.
Yeah.
But it was really funny for that to be the thing for a while, where somebody would say, how do I know you? And then I would just pull the video up and they would
Yeah.
go, oh my God, that's crazy. I'm like, it is very crazy.
Nice, nice. So you've made longer form videos, like on the men's mental health one. You've also mentioned the Charlie Kirk one you're working on. What about a topic compels you to make a longer form video over short form?
It's usually if there's more to say. TikTok and Instagram are kind of like the top of the funnel, so to speak,
Hmm.
where it's if I talk about something and it gets a decent bit of views, okay, people are thinking about this. People care about this topic. Like I could probably make a video on Tylenol and autism if I really wanted to, because I mean, on Instagram, I think that little chunk of videos got like 250,000 views. Is that
Hmm.
like excuse me the biggest video ever? No, not at all. But there's enough interest that I feel like I could speak some nuance into it and that people would enjoy that. So it's usually if a video does well, or if I feel like there's just too much to say. Like if I'm writing something down and it's more than 3 minutes, I'm like, I need to write like a longer script on this, because I don't I don't like having holes in my arguments, and
Hmm.
that doesn't always mean that I won't. There are still times where there are still holes in the things that I say, but I will try to pick through them, through a topic as deeply as I can, and try to give as much nuance as I can to it. And sometimes that just ends up being 3.5 hours.
Fair.
And yeah, so it's weird. Like it really is just um it kind of just ends up being the necessary thing to do. Okay, I wrote a video, the open relationships thing. I think the total like time of that four-parter is maybe 10 minutes, plus or minus a little bit. Okay, if I can yap in short form for 10 minutes, I can talk about it longer. And
Yeah.
that is the second long form video that I'm going to make is about long form, or is about open relationships. And then, the book talk video that ended up being, I think, around 9 or 10 minutes. That's going to be another long form video. The how do you know how to find good male friends? That's going to be a long form video, all because those are videos that gained enough traction that it's clear people are thinking about it, and that there's so much more to say than just 60 seconds or whatever
Definitely.
that may be.
All right.
Yep.
Do you find yourself more often in your videos stating observation about topics, critiquing topics, or providing solutions?
I might turn that on you actually, because you're
Okay.
you're the one receiving my content. What do you think?
I'd say more, it's a combination of the observing and critiquing, depending on the topic, but less so the solutions and letting other people kind of find that for themselves, but also
Yeah.
providing what you've done in your experience.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where it goes to. The only time that I'll really go into like coaching mode is if somebody is directly asking for it, or if I think there's a really, really obvious solution.
Mhm.
Like with again, I know I keep on like harping on this Tylenol thing, but it's like, what is the solution there? The solution is abstinence until you know more, which is really kind of a non-solution. Um, a lot of times the pieces of advice that I'm giving are either very directly in my field of work that I
Mhm.
feel comfortable doing it, or it is just way too far where I'm willing to just be like, look, here's the information, here's what I'm thinking about it. Here's some things that I don't think will work. There's probably something that works, and I don't know what it is. Or it's that the answer, and this is like one of my least favorite things as a fitness coach, but it's still correct, is it depends. And that's such a hard answer to give when you want to just tell people absolutely what a piece of information or what something is, but there are just too many confounding variables to really give people a good answer, especially given that I'm making a piece of content for sometimes millions of people.
Yeah.
Um, I used to look at therapy. I still do actually. I look at therapy and I go, oh, we're not here to fix you. We're not here to this. And I'm like, you fucking better be here to fix me. What are you talking about, bro? Like that's what I'm paying you for. Not that I'm in therapy anymore, but like it's when I remember being like, that is exactly the reason I'm here, is that you help me find solutions. But that's the main thing, is I'm not giving anybody solutions. I'm hopefully helping them find things. I'm talking through my thought process around something or just observing something. And sometimes they're like, there's this joke on Reddit in the life hacks section where they say the real life hack is always in the comments.
Mhm.
That's how it is a lot of times in my
Yeah.
videos, is that I will just be talking about something and someone will just, and it's funny because it's always like it's always just a one liner where someone will just be like, blah, blah, blah. And I like, bam, pinned, like you in one sentence solved a thing that I had to talk about for 2.5 minutes. Well done. Like there are, I don't want to like glaze my audience too much or anything, but there are times where I am, oh God, am I going to get emotional about this? There are times where people are in my comment section um, saying things or having observations that I'm like appreciative in a very strange way, because I do feel that it is a little bit of a reflection on me. Like
Mhm.
I am, for whatever reason, attracting an audience of people that many times I find to be very, very intelligent.
Yeah.
And there are times where people DM me things that I'm like, God, you are fucking brilliant. Why are you not making content? Like it's there are a lot of the time I think people are smart enough to find the answers themselves if they poke at the issue long enough. There are things that I do not have answers to. There's
Mhm.
a problem that I have been working on for about 5 years that I still don't have a solution to. I might be onto something right now. We'll see. But yeah, dude, it's just the solution that I would give you, Keon, is different than the solution that I would give Andrew, or that
Okay.
I would give, some person across the planet, and that's going to depend on a bunch of variables about you that I could never understand, because can I ask how old you are?
24.
24. Where do you live? Roughly?
South Dakota, Hill City.
I was there. I
I
was
saw your
there.
post. I saw your post driving through Wall.
Oh, dude, fucking wall drug, bro.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. So it's like, Keon, 24-year-old man living in South Dakota, you have had a whole lifetime of experiences that completely changed the way that I would coach you through fitness as a man, as a friend. Like the way that I would talk to you and advise you through things is completely different. And that's actually one of the reasons that I so heavily value coaching. It kind of gets memed upon because it's like, oh, what have you done? Like who the fuck are you? But everybody's got something they can teach somebody else, and everybody has a different way that they're going to learn that information. And to a large degree, people only get there by like finding it internally. There's a book called Motivational Interviewing by uh that's not Levine and Heller. That's that other book that which I also can't remember. I cannot remember what it is, but there's a book called Motivational Interviewing that's like used as a lot of like practitioner related fields, where it's how to have a conversation with someone to get them to come to their own outcomes and find their own solutions. And based on the literature that they show, it gets people to much more permanent outcomes. So it's a very long-winded way of saying sometimes I'm just thinking about shit, and that
Mhm.
really is all that it is. And then sometimes I'm trying to provide a solution, and then sometimes I'm just like, look, I'm at a wall. I don't know what this is. And yeah, so it just
Okay.
depends.
Nice. How do you balance personal opinion and objective analysis?
How do I balance personal opinion versus objective analysis? I think I just usually try to be as explicit as possible when it is just my opinion.
Okay.
It'll be I feel, I think, I this. And in fact, a lot of people will say, they'll be in my comments uh, challenging me. And these are usually people who are not willing to, give some grace because they don't know me or they haven't followed me for a very long time. And they'll say, "Oh, well, you're wrong about this." And I'm like, I'm not wrong about it. It's something I think. It's something
Hmm.
I'm considering or working my way through. Like, maybe I am wrong about it, but it's not totally clear to me right yet. It's just something I'm thinking or something I'm feeling. But I'm not saying, "Hey, here's the data that
Yeah.
says you're a big idiot and I'm right because here's my opinion." Um, so I I'll try to have objective takes if I think that there is one, but a lot of times it's just me kind of thinking it's just kind of my thought on a topic, I suppose. Like it's yeah, God, that's a really tough one to answer without kind of like retreading some stuff I've already said in this video.
Fair.
But yeah, I think it really just depends. But if it's too complicated or too hot of a subject, um, I'm gonna make a video about this probably sometime this week. I usually won't make a video if I don't think that I could defend it to my mom and my sister.
Okay.
So if they saw the video and they would say, this is an abhorrent way to believe, or this is an awful way to think, if I don't feel that I could comfortably make them say, you know what, I disagree with you, but I understand, I
Hmm.
usually won't make that video.
Okay.
Um, and that is kind of the filter with which I will probably do that to a degree. Is like, okay, if it's just my opinion, that's really easy to defend. If I'm taking an objective stance on this, it's a little bit harder to defend. I better be really confident about that, and I need to be confident enough to say, yes, mom, I really do believe this, and here's why. Or yes, Rachel, I really do think this, and here's why.
Okay. What's a trend in society today that you think historians will look back on as pivotal?
Um, the way that we have been turned against each other, we meaning the just normal everyday average citizens. Um, yeah, there are really strong disagreements between people for different reasons. Um, I think upon certain lines, at least, people are probably more similar than they are different, and probably agree more than they disagree. But they are really riling us up based on little odds and ends of disagreements.
Definitely.
Um, and I think we're probably going to look back on that and go, wow, what an incredible propaganda tool. They really got all these people to fight each other while, billionaires and politicians were just raking in their money. And yeah, I think that's going to be a big one. I think what's happening globally with immigration is probably going to be a huge one for the history books because I don't know what it's going to be in the
Hmm.
long term. I do know that I've I've traveled a fair bit of the country, and at I've been in places when they felt very much like their own country. I remember being in Germany when it still felt very much German, and I remember going back to German after a relatively large influx of um, I don't know what the politically correct term is, but after a lot of like uh, refugees and immigrants came in, and you see a lot of that stuff on the internet. You see a fair bit of it in the U.S. As well, and I think I don't think it's politically a comfortable thing to talk about. because it's very easy to, again, call you a racist or call you a this or call you a that. But I think whether people want to admit it or not, that is something that is going to heavily affect culture and demographics and the way countries work,
Hmm.
because there are cultural differences between people. If I decided I wanted to go to live in Iran, the way that I am as a person is relatively incompatible with a large portion of Iranian culture.
Yeah.
And if people who lived and thought and believed the things that I did all moved there en masse, it would really change Iran, you know? So yeah, I think that's going to be a really, really big one. Um, it's really funny that we'll never have a chance to read the history books about, what happened and where things went wrong during our life. And
Yeah.
I think, God, I think it would be so cool just to see like, okay, what were the actual paradigm shifting moments in the American empire, so to speak. Like what were the few decisions or the points that really changed things? What was the what was the fall of the Berlin Wall? What was the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand? What were these massively historically significant moments that when they were happening, maybe some people were like, this is the moment.
Yeah.
And maybe a lot of people were like, oh, this doesn't mean anything. And then it's like, no, that actually was the moment.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Do you think social media has improved or tarnished public discourse?
It's given a lot of people the ability to talk, which I appreciate. Unfortunately, one little problem of that is that um, it's given a lot of people probably an excess of uh, confidence because they're spouting off other people's ideas that they don't necessarily understand. And I'm not immune from that either. Um, Being that it is behind a wall, I think that it's I might change my mind on this. I think it's probably been a net negative
Okay.
because it's a lot easier to propagandize people. It's a lot easier to curate their algorithm to tell people what you want them to tell and to give them what you want them to think. And people are a lot more polite when there is a threat that is kind of implicit there. So like
Mhm.
uh, I have seen women say absolutely insane shit to other women in person because there's not necessarily that big of a threat of violence. I will see two men who hate each other have the most polite conversation, specifically if they are on equal athletic footing,
Mhm.
because there's a very, very clear threat of violence to a degree.
Yeah.
Um, so it's like just looking at those as kind of like a microcosm of that idea. Um, I think when there's not possible concern for life and limb, that it really decreases people's ability to um, speak in a way that is acceptable. People
Okay.
are more willing to say unacceptable and edgy shit because they're anonymous behind a screen. And I would never call for removal of the anonymous aspect of the internet because it is important that people have full freedom of speech in that regard. But it's with everything there are drawbacks, and unfortunately, a big drawback of internet anonymity is that you get a lot of idiots saying
Hmm.
a lot of idiotic shit with zero consequence. Um, and unfortunately, that is a feature, not a bug.
Fair. Fair. So I very much enjoyed analogies you've come up with in different videos, whether it be the Kiwi one recently or the baby seal clubbing in regards to the adult industry. And I found you explain things very well through them. What's your process for coming up an analogy to convey a point?
Glenn Dawson from Reset U was a boss of mine at one point in time, and we still talk very regularly. I've actually referenced him like three times in this without saying his name.
Hmm.
Um, but Glenn, I in the middle of COVID, actually pointed that out to me for the second time. The first time was when he was teaching me sales. The second time was when he was re-teaching me sales. Not that I necessarily needed to so much as I needed kind of a brush up where he was just like, "Hey, you don't do this anymore." I was like, "Oh shit, you're right." Analogies was really funny because there's actually a there's a portion of the population that does not understand analogies because they just physically are not intelligent enough to do so.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that as a jab. I'm saying that in a literal sense of people can't um, comprehend abstract ideas. But there's another section of the population that are able to understand really complicated things through an abstract idea.
Yeah.
And he pointed that out to me again, where he's like, "Look, you're talking about these like really complicated fitness topics. Um, you're talking to Andrew in a way that Andrew can understand. Would your mom understand this? She doesn't work in your industry. Is she going to get this?" And I'm like, probably not. He's like, "Well, just just give it a little bit more analogy." Um, and I think it kind of brings people's defenses down a little bit because then it's, oh, we're not talking about this thing, we're talking about something else. And I hate to be like, oh, you're bait and switching people, but you kind of are with an analogy. That Kiwi thing. I'm not gonna lie, man. Like I was really proud of that when I wrote that.
Hmm.
Um, and when I finished putting that together, I was like, this is, I think, going to change people's mind and give people a little bit of understanding instead of me just saying, hey, I'm going to talk about this thing that I want to talk about, and I don't need to talk about the thing that you want to talk about. That doesn't mean anything. But
Yeah.
when I say, hey, I don't know every single fruit, this is a fruit that I'm aware of. This is a fruit that I have memories of. Um, and this fruit that you're talking about, although I understand it, it's too abstract for me, or it's too far away, or it's too complicated for me, and I don't feel comfortable talking about it. It's like, it's a lot of times these analogies are I'm kind of just, for lack of a better word, kind of talking to an 8-year-old.
Okay.
And again, I don't mean that as an insult, but it's um, if I can make a little kid understand the complexity of you not needing to have an opinion on everything, um, the fact that it is probably a more prudent decision to not have an opinion on everything. Um, in that specific Kiwi example, then I think the analogy worked.
Definitely. Definitely. What first drew you to post videos on social media? And is that still the same reason that you post now, or have your motives changed?
When I started in, I want to say it was 2017, 2018, maybe. I was only posting fitness content because I was trying to build up a fitness clientele. And um, I did build a really large fitness business. You wouldn't know it from looking at how big my following is, but I mean, I had a huge clientele. I had a very, very large fitness company. And I I severely struggle with phone addiction.
Hmm.
I'm very aware of that. Every woman that I have ever dated has told me that, and they have all been right. Um, I remember one of them in this is after I had started posting Instagram and YouTube content and kind of getting my first podcast going. I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna make a TikTok, and the gal that I was dating at that time, um, she goes, "Do not make a TikTok. You're already on your phone too much." And I was like, "Okay." And then her and I ended up splitting up. And great gal, she was awesome. But we end up splitting up, and she goes, or excuse me. Then I was like, "Okay, well, I guess I'll fucking do this." So it was kind of like a little like post breakup rebellion where I was like,
Yeah.
"Fuck you! I'm not gonna like listen to this shit. It's so stupid, so petty." I started making content. It was kind of a way to like talk about things that I was going through. It was kind of a way to talk about fitness. It was kind of a way to do a couple trends. It was kind of a way to make a global billboard of Andrew Briggs, whatever that is. And then I kind of just started finding the little things that were getting eyes and that I was able to talk about effectively. And yeah, that was kind of that. So now I've got like these two channels of holistic motion, my fitness content, which I'm not posting less on so much as I'm just not giving it as intense of a priority
Hmm.
because it doesn't get quite as much, it doesn't run quite as hot.
Yeah.
Uh Whereas the Andrew Briggs brand just bam, it's like yeah. So
Okay.
it's kind of changed from. Well, the other thing too is I still do coach
Yeah.
fitness, but I also do a lot of like mindset coaching, and I work with a couple of guys behind the scenes where we're just having weekly calls where I'm just talking to them about for lack of a better word, kind of just actually no, in the most literal sense of the word, kind of just coaching them on things that they're going through. I'm not a therapist, I'm not a whatever, but I'm evidently a person that they think can give them enough insight that they're willing to pay for that coaching, and um, some of them are getting positive outcomes from it. So I'm gonna keep doing that. Might even expand that at some point in time.
Okay. Makes sense. What values do you think society risks losing in the next 20 years?
I think it's going to probably be the value of a traditional family. We kind of already see that from a lot of different angles, um, and I, I, I very, I very comfortably fall into a naturalistic fallacy with a lot of different things. With the we should probably eat the foods that we used to eat. Are
Mhm.
you, are you native? Are you native by chance?
Like 1 or 2%, not a whole lot. I'm half Hispanic.
1 or 2%. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I was gonna say Hispanic or native based on the last name, but based on South Dakota, I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
so
originally from New Mexico. I moved up here more recently.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like you're Hispanic. Ethnically, there are different foods that your ancestors were eating than mine were. So it's like,
Mhm.
okay, it probably makes sense to try to follow that diet a little bit, not absolutely, but to a degree. Okay, you and I are both a product of millions of years of evolution based around the cycle of the sun. It's probably a good idea to try to go to sleep when the sun goes down and try to wake up when the sun comes up. Okay, we evolved to procreate. It's probably a good idea to try to procreate and try to have like there are just all these things that I make knowing that they do that they are beneath the umbrella of a naturalistic fallacy, and I'm okay with that because it makes the most sense in my mind that if we evolve doing those things, we probably ought to. And I think a lot of people are very willingly getting away from lack of procreation, um, and a lot of the I don't know. It's. Have you ever seen the movie Idiocracy?
It's on my to watch list. I've had a few people recommend it to me.
Yeah, you ought to watch it, man. If you've had a few people recommend it to you, you need to watch it. That
Yeah.
that's a it's like such a tired point to say, but that's a documentary at this point. Um, the intro to that movie changed changed my life. I
Okay.
still think about that regularly because there are examples of exactly this happening all around you, and it is they're people who are um I don't want to spoil it actually. I'll let you watch it. But yeah, it's
All right.
I think people not forming families, and I'm of course guilty of this. I'm 32, no wife, no kids, but I want to have kids. I want to have a wife. I want to have a huge family, but I haven't done it. Um, and I think that that is something we're getting away from too much, way too far away from.
Okay. Do you think AI and algorithms will replace, enhance, or distort societal commentary?
Oh, dude, AI scares me. I use it a little bit. Everybody does. Anyone who says they don't is probably lying. Probably 0.5% of people who are aware of AI that don't use it. Um, Being that a lot of them are trained on, not all, but a lot of them are trained on pre-existing information that we have all made.
Mhm.
You can see it sometimes where you can tell that you're communicating with a bot or you're viewing a bot comment, and the thing that they're talking about is clearly somebody else's idea that it's just repeating more or less. Um, I think they have the ability to amplify whatever their creators want amplified.
Okay.
Um, there's a really good study by Solomon Ash. This is actually one of the tattoos that I have. Those lines, which obviously it's upside down right now, and I'm not going to bother explaining all of it, but essentially it's a psychological conformity test,
Okay.
and I think. AI um, probably not even has the potential so much as it's already doing this, which is that it is going to subtly nudge people to ideas through groupthink. And again, none of us are immune from this. I am not immune from this. You are
Mhm.
not immune from this. That it has the ability to push us toward ideas that they, whoever they are, may want us
Okay.
to arrive at. Because if you've got 1,000 people all saying, the sky is orange, it takes a very really strong personal constitution to say that's blue,
Yeah.
or whatever the actual scientific for the reason it being blue is. But yeah, it takes a lot for people to stand in the it takes a lot of courage to stand in the face of mass public opposition and
Okay.
say, yes, you're all wrong.
Yeah.
And I think bots are gonna really challenge people's ability to do that.
Understandable. Do you think we have free will or is everything predetermined?
Oh no, dude, that question's way too long. That's gonna be like hours. I don't know. I don't know. There's one study that I come back to pretty regularly, and it depends if you're gonna come at it from a religious angle, like Calvinism, or if you're gonna look at it from a kind of like I'm not sure what the right word would be for this, like a neurological angle, I suppose. Because the Calvinists, like they make a decent argument for predestination and somewhat lack of free will.
Mhm.
One of the things that I think about regularly is there's a study, and I can't remember exactly how they did this because I this was like years ago I became aware of this. Basically, what it was is that whenever somebody would have an idea, they would see the neurons start lighting up in their brain before the person was aware of their idea. Where does that come from? If it's coming from somewhere, who or what is giving it? Because I personally, and this is totally outside of my field, I don't know how I don't know how we can call this our idea, given that it is manifesting before we are aware of it.
Mhm.
That's really freaky to me. Um, the more, I guess, kind of like a silly pushback on the free will argument from a religious perspective is, um, do okay, so I don't have wings. If God exists, He did not give me wings. Is that an infringement upon my free will? Some people would say no, and I say, well, God made it so I can't fly. I want to fly. God is preventing me from flying,
Okay.
so I don't have true free will if I can't fly. And then it's, oh, okay, well, can I do this thing that I'm not capable of doing? No, that's an infringement upon free will. So it's kind of a stupid argument, but I think it holds a little bit of water.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Interesting. I think I know the answer to this one, but dogs or cats?
yeah, you do know the answer. Dogs.
All
Two,
right.
Shiba Inu master race.
Fair, fair. Nietzsche or Dostoevsky?
Man, probably Nietzsche just because I've read more of him. Not even necessarily that he is right. I'm just a little bit more familiar with him.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So I couldn't. Oh, sorry, hon. I couldn't give you that validation based on any specific things so much as I think I just have more, um, more time in market with him, so to speak.
Fair. Peterson or Nietzsche?
Same answer, probably Peterson, because I have read his stuff a lot more. I think it's a lot more accessible. Um, but a lot of that is also that I've met Jordan. You
Okay.
know, um, I've seen him speak in person. So it's I feel more closeness toward him that I think it makes that bar a little bit lower for me.
Okay.
Um, Again, is he right about everything? Absolutely not. Um, but I would say he's actually wrong about a lot, and I think that's okay. I understand why he comes to conclusions. I cannot have that same conversational piece with Nietzsche where I'm able to fully understand why he's coming to the conclusions that he comes to. But I also haven't read Nietzsche in a long time, so yeah.
All right. Long form or short form content?
Short form for collecting information, long form for really fleshing it out.
Okay. Instagram or TikTok?
lately Instagram. Instagram does a better job of building a community. It does a better job of allowing mass conversations. It allows a little bit more freedom of speech. I mean, like I've gotten strikes on TikTok for saying use your fucking brain.
Yeah.
Like it was just it's ridiculous. Like I've called somebody on Instagram a fucking moron and told them they have piss for brains, and Instagram was like good stuff. Like let's do another.
Yeah.
So
In your opinion, what's Jordan Peterson's best book and why?
I would say first 12 rules for life, just because that was the starting point for a lot of people.
Hmm.
There are people that I know who do not like Jordan Peterson that like that book just for the concepts that it proposes in there. Like one of the I don't even think that this was an original idea of his so much as I think he just kind of brought it into the zeitgeist, which is um, clean up your own room before you're God, I'm gonna of course now I'm losing the rule. I believe it was clean your own room before commenting on somebody else's or something like that.
Something similar.
But yeah, basically, getting your life in order before you're pointing at somebody else's and going, look at what a fucking wreck you are,
Yeah.
just nonsense.
Okay. And then the last question I have is if you could ask yourself your future self one question, what would it be?
Who is she?
That's a solid question.
Where do I find her? Yeah, that's probably it, man. Um, yeah, it's getting married's definitely at the top of the heap. Um, and yeah, I don't know. It's a big one for me. Marriage, family, kids, all that jazz. I figure I'll hit that point when I'm really actually ready for it.
Hmm.
I kind of got this idea that maybe we don't achieve the things until we're ready to. As they say, the what is it? The master appears when the student is ready, or something like that. Maybe there's
Yeah,
like some component of that to it. Maybe I'm not actually ready to be a husband and father. But yeah, only time will tell.
definitely, definitely.
Yeah, dude, Keon, you are really fucking good at this, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, like I feel like you really understand me and the content that I'm making. I really appreciate it more than you understand because um whenever I've tried to interview people, I just try to consume as much of their content as I can because I'm like,
Mhm.
who are you? Like, I don't want to
Yeah,
ask you a question that you're gonna go, oh yeah, purple's my favorite color. Yeah, yeah, blah blah blah, like whatever it may be. I think you did like an incredible job, man. This is seriously like one of the best interviews I've probably um had. So thank you. Seriously, I
thank you.
really
Yeah,
appreciate
tried to
it.
do my research beforehand.
You did it for sure, man. Like fantastic line of questions, man. Thank you.
Thank you.